Alright. Let's get some background work done. If I'm going to get this gun done anytime soon, I need to get on it, right? I'm working on it a little bit every day, but yeah, I replaced the skirting on my deck last week. And I think I got into some mold. So I've been pretty sick since last Saturday. I mean, today's Saturday. So I've been pretty much down for a week. I've been out here working, a couple hours every day. Nothing really major. When you're not feeling well, the last thing that you want to do is get out here and cut out an expensive gun. That's a really good way to have to buy someone a gun. And today I'm feeling pretty good. So really, what I'm doing today, besides the obvious, doing background removal, I'm testing out a new camera. I'm testing out a new microphone. I'm testing out some new settings on my recording equipment, my recording software. So, if anything, what I'm really wanting to do is make sure that my video quality is high enough to do some really nice reels. Just some short little, 3 or 4 minute tutorials. Just little stuff here and there. Make sure the audio quality is good enough. Kind of get used to talking through the microphone. Try and get the balance between the sound of my tools, the sound of my voice, sound of any background music, which the music stopped. So we're just going to run without music for a couple minutes, see how that works. So in case anybody's curious, this is a 105-degree graver. It's a Lindsay parallel point. My graver is a 1/8 inch piece of carbide that is epoxied into a piece of brass. And then my handpiece is just a Lindsay Classic that I've changed out the back on down to a little low profile piece. I really don't need the low profile right now, but whenever I get to stippling, it really makes everything more comfortable. But yeah, I forgot to mention my graver is slightly dubbed. And it has a bulldozer heel. And because this is a really hard stainless steel, this is a Wilson Combat CQB, and it's super hard. But I really like the super hard stainless steels anyway, because I can get such beautiful cuts out of them. The really hard stainless, I think it has just the right amount of give and bite, and it just kind of pulls the graver along through it. But I've already cut my outlines, so right now I'm just going through and I'm cutting furrows to the depth that I want my background. And then I'll come back, and the spaces that are big enough, I'll flatten down with a flat graver. And spaces that aren't big enough, I'll just smash down with a stippling punch, kind of level them out that way. Yeah, see, now I'm starting to get warmed up. Engraving is one of those things you gotta almost have to do it every day. If you don't, I mean, it's say use it or lose it skill. And my shop is right off of my deck in Central Florida. And we had a cold front come through night before last, and it got down into the 30s at night. So I didn't cut anything yesterday. Being partially outside, I wasn't able to get it up much warmer than 60 degrees in here yesterday. And anybody that knows me knows that 60 degrees is just not my kind of weather. I can't do it. Now, with all the problems I have with my health and with my hands, when the temperature gets down that low, I can't really use them. It's just kind of like one of the iguanas here in Florida. When the temperature gets low, I just really kind of useless. So in case anybody's curious, I did just move to Florida a couple months ago. I completely missed the winter in Missouri. Like I said, we had a cold front come through the night before last, and early in the morning we got down into the 30s, 40s. But we were right back up to 65 during the day. Today we got to 75. I think we have a cold front coming through again tomorrow night. So it'll get relatively coldish again. Alright, looks like that's everything flattened down as far as I need to go. So this is just a little flat. Gonna come through here, and if there's a spot that I can fit the flat in, get it in there. Try to work all this down a little bit without touching those walls. Can't stress enough how important that is to not touch those walls. I mean, we can touch them up. We can touch them up if we happen to scrape against one. For the most part, we don't want to touch them at all. All we want to do is just cut those ridges off. And if we cut the ridges off, we'll make our background pretty flat. And then in the spots like here, where we can't quite get our flat graver in there, I'm not going to sweat them too bad. And we'll come back and flatten them out with the punch. if we were doing, you know, some exhibition level engraving, then I could justify spending the extra time to come in with maybe a rotary and a tiny burr and really flatten everything out. But honestly, unless you're looking at this underneath a microscope, you're not going to notice that I didn't go through and smooth out those little spots. So we'll get to the end of this run and then I'll stipple this whole section. See how nice that comes out? You just cut off the tops of the furrows. Alright. This little section here. Being really careful not to tag that cut or hit this one with the back side of the graver as you come through. Alright. Pretty good. Brush all that off. Paintbrush. Yep. Don't drag your fingers across there. You get a burr stuck in your finger, then you bleed all over your gun, and you know. Blood is not good to try and get out of a gun. Yeah. Fastest way to make something rust is to cover it in blood. So again, it's just a piece of 1/8 inch carbide set into a brass sleeve. By the way, when my gravers get too short, I just turn them into punches. Alright. How much of this can you guys see in the mic in the camera? Alright, well. Yeah, you can see enough to make it worthwhile. Little circles. A little more pressure. A little more hit. Oh yeah, much better. Now we can move some metal. Maybe hitting a little too hard. We'll soften that up a little bit. Hey, you just want to take your time. Treat each space like it's its own little piece of art. Yeah. That's kind of my whole philosophy with engraving anyway, is every little section is its own piece of art. Every cut should be, artwork in itself. And then right now I'm just stippling up to the base of the cut. Kind of like, remember when you were in kindergarten, you would outline with a crayon, and then you come back in and you fill in the big spaces. It's kind of that same idea. I don't have to be quite so delicate doing the internal spaces once I get the outlines done. And yeah, I don't know who said it, but this is the most boring part of the whole job, is doing background texture, because you're just doing little circles, just doing little circles, lots of little dots. And I'll be honest, nothing hurts my hands more and makes my hands cramp up faster than doing stippling, especially on a large area. So this is why I use the low profile back on my handpiece, is because of the way that I hold this for stippling. If I were to use the large piece, the large end cap, then it gets in the way. I can't quite hold this like a pencil like I'd want to. That looks good. Let's dress up that cut a little bit. Back to my softer cut. Oh yeah, look at that. Beauteous. Oh, there's a little bit that I've messed right in there. Yep, don't forget to stop every now and then. Look at it up underneath the microscope, because that's how everybody else is going to see it. Remember, don't touch those bright cuts. Yeah, I don't know how everybody else does it. Have stuff to talk about for, an hour at a time. But you have to figure it out. You know. Maybe I'll just, talk through whatever I'm telling myself to do with these cuts as I'm doing them. Like I said, we'll figure it out. We'll get through the end of this. It's getting late in the day. I need to start thinking about dinner. What happened there? Just trash. You know what? I think that's enough for right at the moment. Gotta make a trip into town before it gets too late. So we'll pick up there later.